Okay. All right, here we are. Fantastic.
Yes.
Okay.
Can you stop
Let's see.
screen sharing once and to make sure that, because I can't screen share now, but I'm assuming that's because you're running.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Maybe also, Lars, while I'm speaking mute, looks like we've got a couple people that are coming in to the chat, so I'll wait until we've got a couple folks
Yep.
in. And then Lars, maybe just while I'm presenting, if you don't mind muting, because that helps sometimes with the feed.
I will.
Perfect. Cool.
Good luck.
Thanks. Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us. Looks like there's a couple of you that have joined. Hi, everyone. Got things started. So welcome to Setting Up Your Supply Chain for Global Expansion. So exciting. We're so happy to have you here. I'm here with Lars, the CTO of Prime Penguin. Got a couple of interesting things just to get into before we switch gears and have him present on his solution. But just to, a reminder, ShipBob, we are an omni-channel global fulfillment platform for over 7,000 e-commerce brands. So we've been around for 10 years now. We have 100 plus sales channel integrations ready to go straight out the box. One of them is Prime Penguin, worldwide. So you can see a couple of brands that we work with just down here. So just to recap the week in e-commerce, so obviously the Port of Baltimore operations remain halted after the Francis Scott Key Bridge collapse. So shippers are being diverted to ports along the East Coast. This was one of the busiest ports in the US, so the effects are going to be felt across the supply chain, very sort of similar to what we saw with the Evergreen disaster back in 2021. The port specializes in assembled vehicles and bulk goods. Just to kind of, we're sort of keeping an eye on and monitoring it for our customers and impacts to their supply chain. Kind of news on the omni-channel front. So Amazon's first ever big spring sale took place on March 20th to the 25th, offering discounts on seasonal items like spring fashion, fitness products, cleaning, and yard work essentials. Amazon sales are typically reserved for Prime members. So this was a big push to get new signups and increase sales to really drive critical mass of users on the platform. Amazon usually gives a high-level summary of Prime Day results, but has yet to release any detail on the big spring sale. But what we do know is over 1/3 or 36% of the US consumers shop the sale, so slightly down from the 41% that shopped their October Prime Day event. Beauty and health were the top categories purchased. So to switch gears over to Lars, we're joined, and I'm really excited to introduce Lars Nilsson, who's the Chief Technology Officer at Prime Penguin. Lars has 20 plus years full organization programming. He previously worked as the lead developer at Cloud KYC and as a software development engineer at Discovery Plus. Fun fact, Lars is a classically trained baritone and is the founder of Cubia AB, a software development company with a mission to create kick-ass software for the gaming industry. So Lars, I will let you take it from here. I'm going to stop sharing my screen.
Thank you, Meg, and thank you, ShipBob, for inviting me. Let's see if I can share my screen. Now, hang on. We had some technical issues, of course, before we did this, so we'll see if this works as it should now. I'll try to get back here and select. No, not that. We'll try it again. And here we go. You should be able to see my screen now. So, as I said, it's a great pleasure to be here, and thanks for the invitation. My name is Lars. I'm CTO of Prime Penguin, and usually that means not only dealing with technical stuff, but also helping our customers, helping our account managers and our programmers to understand the technical landscape for global e-commerce. I am, as Meg said, a classical trained baritone. Don't hold me against it. I will not sing during the presentation, I promise you that. And I call myself a programmer. If you find me on LinkedIn, it'll say programmer because I build companies. Sometimes I code, sometimes I'm CTO, like I am today. And we're going to talk about challenges to global logistics. Specifically, I want to talk about something that I will call agile global expansion. And I'll come back to what I mean about that in a little while. But I'll start with just giving you an idea of what Prime Penguin is. We're an integration platform. We're specializing in logistics. We started with e-commerce, so we're centered around order flows, inventory, sales channels, and VMSs. We have some 30 plus sales channels and 20 plus VMSs that used by hundreds of 3PLs around the world, of which, of course, ShipBob is one of them. And we are specialized in logistics. You can find integration platforms online that are generic, that does everything, and they might even advertise as no code. Well, we are truly no code, and the fact that we are specialized in logistics means that we can actually be plug and play from the start. There is literally no code. And the next thing that makes us slightly unique is that we can do many-to-many connectivity. We can connect many sales channels, and we can connect them to many different VMSs and third-party logistics providers. And obviously, that's something that is rather interesting if you're looking at expanding outside your home market. And I said I'd talk about agile global logistics. What I mean by that? Well, there's lots of things we could talk about when it comes to expanding your logistics outside your home market. And it'll take too much time, frankly. We could spend 30 hours just discussing, let's say, customs declarations, but that's a bit boring. And I'm a CTO, so we will talk technical stuff instead. You can, the bad old day. Logistics, when I'm feeling a bit grumpy, I usually say that logistics started with 3 men and a truck. It's a bit more complicated today, but if you choose your partners correctly, you can actually get around much of the technical challenges easily and risk-free. If you go back 10 years before ShipBob existed, before Prime Penguin existed, you were more or less forced to plan an entry into a new market with a big chunk of work up front. You would have to plan it, you would have to procure a fulfillment center, you had to have developers of your own, presumably, or consultants, and you'd have to specify exactly how that would work. You would have the large chunk of work up front in order to expand into a new market. And because the market was immature, because there was a lack of digitization, you would find yourself planning everything on beforehand. In software development, we talk about agile development, and it's about trying to deliver small steps instead of big projects, work in smaller things, try to get out there and actually test it. Because if you overload the planning part, if you make a huge project when you're going to enter a new market, you're increasing your risk. We're not going to tell you that this is super simple. Entering a new market is complicated, and there's a risk of failure. And the more you overload the beginning of the process, the bigger the chance that you've actually forgot something in that. If you forgot something in your planning, it'll have bigger effects. In software development, we talk about catch defects upstream. Try to find the things that doesn't work as soon as possible, because that will make them cheaper. So entering a new market would be fairly slow. You'd load it up with cost and risk, and then you'd make a big project, and you would have a project manager, and everything would go hunky-dory, presumably. Well, what if then you could not overload the beginning. If you could actually take it in small steps, obviously that's what I'm claiming that you can do, because we exist and ShipBob exists, and ShipBob is a 3PL with software first. And you can find lots of 3PLs that still don't know what software is. And if you use those, then yeah, you can actually do some agile global expansion. One other thing I should point out as well is traditionally it would be easy to get locked in. That's why it's a lock in the middle of your screens right now, because complexity and custom solutions tends to catch you in one place, and you'd get locked into a provider or a solution that would be hard to get through. And we would like to be able to change that. But that's all well and good to talk about that. I'll give you an example instead. Petgood is a Swedish pet food startup. They were founded in 2020, and they became a Prime Penguin customer from the start. They are based in Sweden. They're still pretty small, but they're selling to entire Europe from their Swedish warehouse. And they came to us and asked us if we could help them find a warehouse in Australia. And we called up Meg at ShipBob and introduced them. So Petgood have been a ShipBob customer since 2023. I'll do a bit of bragging here. I think I'm allowed to brag a little bit. From the point that we presented ShipBob to Petgood, it took 2 weeks for them to do the contract and do the integration and be ready to go live. That was 2 weeks. That's a testament to how good ShipBob is as well. In 6 weeks, they had actually delivered their first in-order to the warehouse and sent the first order. So 6 weeks from first presentation, to contract signing, to integration, to first order out from the warehouse. That is something that we're actually kind of proud of. And I started talking about agile expansion, so let's look at what they actually did. And their current setup today is that they have a Swedish ERP, they have 2 Shopify stores, they have a dedicated B2B sales platform, and they have 2 connected third-party logistics providers, ShipBob and a Swedish 3PL that serves the European market. And ShipBob obviously serving the Australian market at the moment. And the way they did that was to start small and test. So they didn't lock themselves in to a decision of having a single Shopify store or 2 Shopify stores. They took that decision pretty quickly and created their second Shopify store for the Australian market. They didn't lock themselves into the decision of whether or not they needed to use an Australian ERP. They had a competent ERP in place, but they wanted to start shipping B2B orders in Australia to see if they got traction on it before they took the step to connect an Australian ERP. Neither did they decide what to do with the B2B sales platform. The decision they took was to continue utilizing the existing platform for the time being. So they took minimal steps along the way. And as I said, it took them 6 weeks from getting introduced to ShipBob and actually shipping the first order. That is rather remarkable. And the point isn't that all challenges will be easy to overcome if you do this. Obviously, there are lots of details around entering a new market. The point is that you can actually do it step by step.
Hey, Lars.
Yes.
Really quickly, I think you're only sharing the first slideshow, by the way. So I know you're clicking through the slides, but if there's that specific...
Isn't it? Hasn't it been...
Yeah, there we go. Perfect.
Oh, interesting. So you have only seen the first slide.
Yeah.
Okay, fine.
This is a lot of fun. Yeah, this is a lot of good, fun information. There we go. Yeah, thanks
Yeah.
for linking up.
Okay. Then my apologies. I'm sitting in Canva and presenting, and I was looking at the presenter view and not the audience window, and apparently they were not connected properly. So, Prime Penguin, yes, you heard me talk about that. I'll just go through, and for those of you who want this presentation afterwards, I'm sure we can find a way to send it to you. There was the challenges to global logistics. I was talking about the problem of loading your risk upfront and your planning upfront. There's a slide with lots of text about Petgood and ShipBob. And finally, this slide on, which is about the B2B platform, ERP, and the Shopify stores. So my apologies for that, because you actually are then going to go straight into this, which is a demo. So I'm going to try to find my way back and switch window here for you to the let's find it. There we go. Allow, and you should now be seeing my screen. Let me have a look at that. Yes, you do. Okay, welcome to the Prime Penguin back office. We are looking at a test company in production. It is a test company that sells Cthulhu-themed clothes. It is owned by me in order for me to test and share Prime Penguin like I'm doing right now. So you can see at the screen that there's 2 orders pending and 3 in progress. So it's not the company that you will make a lot of money on. Let us begin by showing you the setup. We have ignore the demo ghost. We have 2 sales channels connected. I call Visma in this case a sales channel, but Visma is actually a Swedish ERP system and Shopify. So I have an ERP connected and I have Shopify connected. And down here, of course, there's loads of them and I could connect them if I wanted to. In addition, this company has a warehouse connected. It says Postpack. Postpack is one of our partners in Sweden. This is actually a test account, so it's not actually Postpack. They don't know that it says it, but it's a test account, basically. And if I go to my warehouse, then we should be able to find orders. The orders in this view is from all sales channels and to all logistics providers. Remember that we're doing 2 sales channels at the moment. And currently, this weird thing, by the way, since some of you will have seen it, this is our dropship logistics provider. It means that order wasn't sent anywhere. It's the dev null logistics provider. It never left the platform. But we have a few orders, and we can click through them, obviously. And look at more the order details, the line items, and if we had a fulfilled order, there would be tracking information here as well, obviously. And with the risk of repeating myself, these orders are from all connected sales channels and to all connected logistics providers. And I can actually switch sales channels and look at, for example, all orders that only come from Shopify or all orders that are going to Postpack, for example. Then the next big thing we're looking at or we're doing is that we're updating the inventory. If we scroll a bit here, we will find the inventory columns. You'll see that they are actually different, but that might happen. You would have inventory that is locked for some reason in a warehouse, but locked, not available for selling, basically. Again, you can click through on the product variant page and get some more information about the inventory and the activity logs of it and the inventory history. A fairly new feature I'm going to brag about is the stock reservation feature. We can basically withhold stock from specific sales channels or indeed specific warehouses. It acts like a poor man's stock reservation if your VMS doesn't support stock reservation. But you can do it across all sales channels and all VMSs. I know ShipBob supports stock reservations. If you only have ShipBob, this wouldn't be a problem. But for other VMSs, that might be a nice feature to use. Anyways, and we launched that recently. That was why I wanted to show it. So that's the sort of, and then we have order routing rules. You can indeed create purchase orders. If you have connected multiple logistics providers, that might be a good thing to do. We can also, of course, if you've connected an ERP, we can read the purchase order from the ERP instead. That's probably a better idea. We've got some reports, but it is high time that I actually show you some action so you don't fall asleep. Now, you have to think about this in reverse, right? I'm a European e-commerce customer at the moment. I have my existing warehouse in Sweden. What I want to do is connect ShipBob. Now, some of you who are watching might already have ShipBob, in which case you might want to connect another warehouse. But since I'm a European customer, I'm going to connect ShipBob because why wouldn't I want to use ShipBob? And we're going to select the sandbox environment because we are not in production yet. I'm going to say that all sales channels are, no, hang on, we're going to say that we're reading from Visma. So let's say this is for B2B orders. And we should be able to connect. So that's the ShipBob login, and fingers crossed, sure. Here we go. We have an existing channel. We'll use that. We'll scroll through the permissions and say that, yes, go on. This is not using the ShipBob production environment, as I said, so it looks slightly different from what it would do for you. And there we go. ShipBob is now connected. We have verified that the connection is live. I'll go in here again and I'll do some configuration. When you connect a new 3PL, it's not active, right? We want to be very careful when you're setting up a new warehouse somewhere. So let's activate it. We do want to sync the inventory and we want to do all the processing possible. We're saving that. Okay, that seems to work. There's one final step, and I'll show it to you. We are in the process of rewriting our rules for order routing. So this is the old UI, and we have a splendid new UI coming out soon, but I didn't want to rush the developers, so we're looking at the old UI today. And we have basically one rule. It says that all the default mapping criteria says that all orders are going to postpack. That's not what we want to do. We want to send orders to ShipBob. So we'll say that all sales channels, and we'll select ShipBob. Oh, sorry, didn't work. Try that again. ShipBob. And mapping criteria, I'm going to say that anything that says that it has a US country code will go to ShipBob. And that's it. We are now effectively saying that we have mapped products and, as a consequence, orders to ShipBob. What happens now in the background is that we are pushing the product data to ShipBob. And if I would to send an order now with a US receiving address, it would go to ShipBob. It is that simple. I just connected ShipBob. I can now send US orders to ShipBob. And that is the proof of the pudding, as they would say in England. I'll switch back to the presentation if I can do that. Oh, a bit faster this time. And see if I can change it as well. That was it. Thanks again for ShipBob to invite me. I hope all of you had a good time. And I don't know, Meg, if we have questions. I think we have 5 minutes left for questions anyway.
Yeah, Lars, thank you so much for walking us through that. I've got a couple of questions, high level. So in the conversations you and your team have been having with brands, talk to me about the importance of being able to support hybrid fulfillment solutions. So the idea that you can integrate all of your different fulfillment providers for whatever purpose they serve. I think we're seeing more and more of that as a trend as brands grow and become more omni-channel.
Yeah, it's if the emergence of integration platforms is really what makes it possible. If you sit with your own integrations, for example, it's the dashboard where you can look at all your data, for example, is one of the last things you might write. But with an integration platform, if you collect your logistics flow in one place, you actually get the bird's eye overview of all the connections on one place. And it also minimizes the organizational complexity, because you can come, if you're using us, you can come to us and ask about the integrations you're using. You don't have to go to third parties. You don't have to go to the 3PL in the other country to talk about something, and then the consultancy shop that you were using for that integration. I recently spoke with a fairly big Scandinavian shoe brand, and they had one setup for Scandinavia and the world, and a completely different setup for the American market. And I think they had something like 17 different integrations, and those integrations were chained. So there was one integration going to another integration, going to another, and there at the end somewhere there was a sales channel, for example. And our offer to them basically was that, remove that chain. We'll read the order from the sales channel, and that'll be it. And then you can have all your sales channels in one place instead.
Yeah, that's amazing. I think for ShipUp, I like to say, if you like our processes and you like our tech and our people and our structure, if you leverage us in Australia versus leveraging us in the US, it's the same dashboard, it's the same experience. You can expect to extract the same data and have the same view. So that's really, really important for brands. I think we're onboarding a brand right now that's going to have 4 different dashboards because they're global and they've got all of this complexity. So they're excited to be talking to Prime Penguin to have that sort of all of that data feed into one central place so they can actually gain insights and make decisions.
Yes.
Yeah.
And there was one point I missed talking about, since we're chatting anyway. Prime Penguin has partners, and we are a platform, an integration platform. But for our enterprise customers, we also do logistics consulting. So if you'd come to me and you would ask me, right, Lars, can you find me an auto store in Scandinavia? I would be able to give you a name immediately. Like if there's a Swedish brand who comes to me and say, look, can you find me a good partner in the US? And I would call up ShipBob immediately. That's also something that we do for our customers, and our partnership with ShipBob has been very fruitful so far.
Oh, we love to hear that. Thanks for coming on, Lars. Yeah, before we wrap up, it looks like we've got less than a minute. Is there anything else that you want to add before we?
No, I'm good. Thank you.
Okay. Well, I just wanted to say thank you for everyone that's tuned in. We actually had Stina, who's the CEO of Prime Penguin, join, which is fantastic, all the way from Sweden. So appreciate you with the time zone change and everything, sort of making time for us today to talk more about your solution and how you can leverage that with ShipBob. So Thank you, everyone. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to the Prime Penguin team or reach out to me. We have all our information. It's in the chat. So, and we'll be following up with some more information about Prime Penguin and how you can leverage their solution. So thanks, everyone, for joining. Okay. All right.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.